Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Building Big with City Skylines, episode 51. I'm Enigmius, and today we're taking a look at the disaster that is our city. I say it's a disaster because if you look at it now, it's a disaster. But that's not to say it's going to stay that way. We're experiencing some growing pains, and we're also learning quite a lot about how this whole business of having isolated districts works, or doesn't, for that matter. You can see we've got all kinds of flashing icons that are in no way indicative of good things happening. We've got the blue icons that indicate that we have commercial buildings that don't have enough to sell. We've got an abandoned building over here somewhere. We've got this little wee icon here. It's really tough to see, but this guy is sick because of the noise pollution, so I actually just finished going around the entire city and rezoning everything, all the roads for their treed versions because it reduces noise pollution. We got a dead guy over here that I just noticed now. Hopefully we'll have to keep an eye on that, make sure that it's not a death wave in the making. If it is, we can fix it. It's not a problem, but we do have to keep an eye on it. Then down here, we've got really kind of a strange situation taking place. You may notice from the last episode, I should say, that we had our train station kind of way out here a bit, with the road up this side, and then it came across this way past the front of the train station and connected back to the district that way. A lot of wasted space. I wasn't really happy with it, so I took a little bit of time and I actually rezoned the entire thing. And instead of having the industrial sort of wrapped around the middle with some services tucked in this little square here, surrounded again by commercial, and then with the residential on the outside, I rearranged it so that we could put the train station closer to the district, because the whole thing with the train station is it produces a lot of noise pollution, and if you have heavy-duty noise pollution right next to industrial areas, they tend not to do so well. I mean, the noise pollution from the roads over here, just the roads, was enough to make this bastard sick. The train station, if we had to put it right here with a residential area passing around this way, it would have been a disaster, an absolute disaster. So I rearranged things so that now the noise pollution hits mostly the industrial area, a little bit of spillover into the commercial area, and then all the residential area over here is pretty much safe from having to worry about that. Nevertheless, we have some issues here. We've got this icon here that tells us they don't have enough goods, enough materials to make what they're trying to make. So we'll keep that in the back of our mind. We've got commercial buildings saying that they don't have enough of the right kind of workers. I think that one is. So let me just close this. Not enough customers. That's what it was. They have not enough people shopping here at these commercial areas to stay open. So a lot of these are going to wind up abandoned sooner or later. I'm not too concerned about it because if you notice, when we go back here, we saw this earlier, but if you notice again, we've got lots of room now to zone more residential, which will produce more people to shop at the commercial. So I'm not upset about seeing these saying they don't have enough customers right now. It's a short-term problem, or so I hope, right? We're counting on the fact that it'll change a bit when we finish zoning in the residential. We've got, where were the other ones? We have problems with these guys. I think this is what it is, saying that, yeah, they don't have enough goods to make stuff, don't have enough customers. Occasionally we'll get the blue ones saying that they don't have enough stuff to sell. It's a minor problem. Now, the issue that we have, basically, is getting everything from one place to the other without crossing over with vehicles, because we don't want to give the people a means to travel directly from one place to another. We want to keep the people isolated and just keep the goods moving. So we have a train station here and the train station here, and it's connected underground. You can see we've got this little junction here, kind of the hint that it's connected, and it goes all the way up here and connects to this external connection up here. You can see the trains are on it. So we've got an external connection to import things if we need them necessarily. We've got the connection between this train station and this train station so that we can get goods back and forth when we need them. The issue is that it's not balanced right now. We've got materials that we need in here so that these guys can make things, and then export those to here so that these guys have things to sell, the ones who are saying they don't have anything to sell. And then when this kind of demand sort of balances out, then we'll have demand for more residential. We can fill this out, and theoretically that will be the thing. And if the balance goes wonky after all of that, I would take that as an indication that it's time to place another isolated district and continue on as we have it. You notice the demand bars down here, there's zero demand for residential. It's been like this for a while because what I had ended up doing was I dezoned all of the dirty industrial that we had over here and replaced it with offices because the demand for offices was just absolutely outrageous. It was just constantly spiking to the top, and we'd put in a bunch of offices, like 3 or 4 of these blocks worth, and it would fill in almost immediately, and then the demand would go back up. Oh, crazy. It was fantastic, but crazy. So the other thing that I've had to keep in mind is that we've got all of this stuff happening. How are we doing for the education? Because this was the whole idea, is that we had all these industrial areas that we couldn't balance the demand for workers between the industrial areas who tend to want lower education workers and the commercial and office areas who want high education. I had hoped by isolating them that we could control the education levels by district. Not a chance. Not a chance at all. This area here that has total for education a single elementary school, and that is all. I guess I could move that because that's in an industrial area now. We've got just down here 25 highly educated workers of the 16 that this industrial building wanted. Where do we get 25 highly educated workers? Did they trek across the field from the city and come this way? And what I did as an experiment is I do have a university in here, and it's right here. This is the university for our city. We'll back it out a little bit so it's not so loud. This was originally up here somewhere, and I moved it just to see what would happen, and it still impacts these guys over here even though there's no connection. So these guys are getting an education that they can't actually physically get to the school to see. Maybe they're being educated online. I don't know. I don't know. So the education control is batting 0 on that, but we can still try to control what's going on in the district and who's making what and the balance and all those other things. So one of the things that I wanted to do, that we're going to do right now, is we're going to set up another one of these as a farming district, and then we're going to shuttle the goods via train to, well, wherever it ends up going, basically is what it amounts to. Hopefully, they'll end up sending some goods here, and then these guys will pick up the goods and they'll process it into things here, and then they'll put it back on a train and send it over here to sell. That would be the ideal situation. I already kind of scoped it out, but just so you can see, before we get too far ahead of ourselves, this area right here is kind of the ideal that I want to use for this new farming district. So with any luck, we should be able to just go like that and find the right asset. Is this it? Yep, that's the one. And we'll place it right. Can we rotate it a bit? There we go. Just for the sake of appearances, and plonk it right there. And now, before we do anything else, because I will forget, given the opportunity, I will forget. We're far enough away from everything that we don't have to worry about being too precise. I want to make sure that we can encompass the ring of zoning tiles around the outside edge. That ought to be good enough to get us started. We'll have a train down here. And then later, when we start moving things closer to it, we can always say, hey, by the way, we need to trim you down to size. So now that's specialized for agriculture. And we need to get into this, our train depot. So I just want to kind of remember the noise reducing highway with the sound barriers. That makes absolutely no difference. But that's okay. It's for a good cause. All the farmers, they got noisy tractors and all that other stuff anyways. They shouldn't be complaining to us. Let's go like that. The highway's not really doing anything for us necessarily. There's still traffic lights. There's still the potential for traffic and congestion. The only thing saving us from that is the size of the district itself and the number of vehicles that actually physically have a source and a place where they can spawn and do things that would cause them to create congestion. Make sure cargo train terminal, go like that. We are going to need power which we can extend right across from here, like that. And we'll need water, which we can make sure, yeah, this is auto snapping. I want to make sure that I get it straight, because this is what I've been talking about with the way that I set up my water systems, is you spend a little bit of time getting it right from the very beginning. I might have to do this from a little bit closer just so that I can see. There we go. Spend a little time getting it right from the beginning, and then it's just so easy to expand and maintain. We go like that. Too much overlap, like that. Not enough overlap. Almost. There we go. Just a tiny bit of overlap. Not because it has to be there, but because it makes us feel better about the situation. It's just a little bit of reassurance that you're not going to have this wee tiny little strip of houses that's constantly without water. That one's pretty good, pretty close. And trying not to set up too much of this at once in advance, because you do pay maintenance on the pipes that you lay. So we're just going to kind of get it roughly large enough to serve the purposes of this district. Let me back that off a little bit. And then as we expand around it, we can expand the water. Nice and easy. Almost. Enough. And there. And almost done. That's not even close. We'll just bring that down a little bit more. Too much. Still too much. Right there. That's about perfect. There we go. That's a little bit more than we needed, but it's full coverage on the district now without a big mess. It's very, very easy to expand in the future. And the last thing that we need to do now is zone it. So, keeping in mind the noise pollution, these are the 2-tile farm. I'm sure he'll be quite productive, and happily so. Yes, we'll do that, and that. The farms look better if you give them like large sections of land. Like this would look a lot better than this one here. But I'm not really so concerned about the aesthetics that it's gonna cause me any real amount of upset. We'll do one more there, and then we've got, yeah, I think that's pretty decent. Like that. Oh, we need our services. We can't get by without our services. Put that there, and fire. Go like that. Oh, we got to do the garbage thing before we get carried away. The incinerator. I keep forgetting that incinerators actually generate a little bit of power. But I don't know if it's constant. I don't know if they actually have to be using the incinerator to maximum capacity to get the maximum amount of power out of it. So it's just there and it's bonus power and yay, but I don't actually plan around it. Education for the farmers. Gonna give them an elementary school. Right up here. That looks like a good enough place for an elementary school. And a clinic. Can we fit a clinic in here? Yes, we absolutely can. And of course, right next to the clinic, the crematorium. And I think that's pretty good for services. So now we can finish zoning this. And again, I'm breaking my rule, if we wanted to call it a rule, of zoning on demand, basically watching the demand and then zoning to satisfy it. But it's not that... It's not critical, I don't think. We're going to suffer a little bit for it, but in the long term, it's not going to be that big of a deal. So we've got a little bit of everything ready to go. We've got power connected to this guy that'll pass it along to those guys. So let's see what happens. We are intentionally going to ignore what's going on in the rest of the city for a short while. We will check up on it to see if we've got a death wave, but other than that, this is mostly about getting this up and running with some farms that are going to produce some goods that we can process and then sell in the city proper. Here we go. This is like from Star Wars. This is the farm, the evaporators that Luke worked on. I've never seen a farm like that. It's neat. I like it, but I've never seen a farm that looks like that in the real world. We've got strange... that wouldn't be a barn. The word escapes me. I know what the word is, but it's just not coming to my mouth at the moment. But it's kind of filling in. You can see the demand is very, very low. Everywhere the demand is very, very low, but we are making money. Our population is pretty much holding steady. Oh, you know what we forgot to do? We forgot to connect the train stations. Okay, that's not a problem. We're not going to be actually producing any goods for a little while yet anyways, but never a bad idea to make sure things are properly connected. So what we can do is we're going to go like this, and keeping with our preferred underground... See, this is where it goes a little bit crazy. If you don't extend it long enough where it actually goes underground, it'll let you place it, but you can't actually connect anything to it. It'll tell you the slope is too steep. It's like, it wasn't too steep when I placed the original. What's wrong with it now? There we go. We're going to bring it up like this. And just a straight line. It wants to bend a little bit, but that's fine. We'll do like that. And then underground, where no one can be bothered by it. I have a nice little junction. There we go. And now the question for the ages is, do I want to loop this around, or do we want to just let it go? Let them back out and go the opposite direction. I think we'll loop it around because it's cheap and it's easy. But what? Oh, it was because we started it above ground. So once again, we'll go straight underground. Don't give me no connection, too steep nonsense. Go like this. Can we connect like this, or are we too far underground? Oh, it's because we got the curvy. Like that. And like this. Look at that. Nicely concealed underground. Start things back up. Looking for a death wave. It's not there. We managed to pick up dead guy. A lot of abandoned buildings, and this is kind of part of it, is while we're getting everything sorted out, particularly the one saying that we don't have anything to sell. We know this. We know this from our previous city, that they'll end up abandoned in short order. But for now, we're not too overly concerned about it. What we are going to do is switch back to the normal view, see how this is growing. We've got all these farms with no workers because there's no demand for residential. So they're building farms and they don't have anybody who lives here to actually do anything with them. But that's okay. Like I say, it's growing things. There's a fine balance that we're looking to achieve that we're going to have to learn about as we go by watching things evolve over time. So it's not surprising now to look at this and see a bunch of industrial farms saying we don't have any workers, and then look over here and see that there's no residential area zoned, and we look down here and see that there's no demand whatsoever. It says specifically no demand for residential zone and very little demand for anything else. Oh, we got trucks. We got trucks. Are they picking up? That would be so cool if they were. They are. They're picking up and then they're dropping it off at the train depot. Will we get the train to spawn? Is he picking up? What's the story? Let's see. Over here, will we see it come out? Getting all excited seeing things happen. there's no workers on the farms, but somehow they're able to ship goods. We'll take it. So we're going to end off here because, like I say, this is a sort of a function of just kind of keeping an eye on things. We're going to spend a lot of time bulldozing places. You can see this guy was just abandoned, and he kind of rebuilt on his own just now. But it's better if we can kind of bulldoze them and keeps everyone else happier. And by the next episode, we'll be able to talk about what's happened, what things have changed, and what things are still the same, and what things are working and what things aren't. So if you want to be notified when I add that episode, you can subscribe to my channel or follow me on social media. Links for social media are in the information box below the video. Leave your comments and feedback. Thanks for watching, guys, and take care.